The objective for today is to find X and Y intercepts and then use them to find the slope of the line. You'll be given an equation of a line. You must find the X and Y intercepts. That's where the line crosses the X-axis and the Y-axis. Find the intercepts as two different points and then use those points to find the slope of the line. Example. So here's the equation, and you have to find the X and Y intercepts. Here's how you do this. First, to find the X-intercept, where it crosses the X-axis, the exact point, to find the X-intercept, you plug in a 0 for the Y. So I have 2x minus 3 times 0 equals 6, plugging a 0 in for the Y. When I do that, 3 times 0 is just 0. And subtracting 0 from 2x does not change it. So I'm really left with 2x equals 6. Divide 6 by 2, and you come up with 3. So x is 3, but express it as a point. If x is 3 in the x-intercept point, then you put a 3 in the x spot, 0 for the y, because you inserted a 0 here for the y. This line crosses the x-axis at 3, 0. If you want to find the y-intercept, then you're going to do the opposite. To find the y-intercept, you put a 0 in for x. So 2 times 0 is 0, and 0 minus 3y is still just going to be negative 3y. Divide the 6 by negative 3 and come up with a negative 2. So negative 2 in the y-intercept is going to look like this. Negative 2 in the y spot, and you put a 0 in the x spot. So that gives us the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So now you have 2 points, and you can go back and do what we did yesterday. So I have 3, 0, and then 0, negative 2. From there, I can find the slope. So this is x1, y1, x2, y2. And the formula for slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And insert the points. So you'll have a negative 2 minus 0 over 0 minus 3. Negative 2 minus 0 is negative 2, and 0 minus 3 is negative 3. That's a double negative. So it becomes a positive 2/3. This is your slope. And that's one of 3 answers that you have. The other 2 are the x-intercept and the y-intercept. Here's another example. 4x minus y equals 8. We want to find the x-intercept first. To find the x-intercept, what variable do I plug 0 into? Y. So I will have 4x minus 0 equals 8. 4x minus 0 is just 4x. Divide the 8 by 4, and you come up with an x value of 2. You plugged in a 0 for y and came back with a 2 for x. So x is 2, y is 0. There is your point where the line crosses the x-axis on your graph. And then go back and find the y-intercept. What variable do I put a 0 into to find the y-intercept? X. So 4 times 0 minus y equals 8. 4 times 0 is 0. 0 minus y is just negative y. Divide 8 by negative 1. So you get a negative 8. You put a 0 in for x and came back with a negative 8 for y. So there is your y-intercept. That's where the line crosses the y-axis on your graph. So now you have 2 points. You have 2, 0, and then 0, negative 8. Use those 2 points to find the slope. So that's x1, y1, x2, y2. The formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that's going to give me a negative 8 minus 0 over 0 minus 2. That'll be negative 8 over negative 2. That's a double negative. So we'll make it positive 8 over 2. But 8 over 2 reduces to 4. So your slope is 4. Your x-intercept is 2, 0. And the y-intercept is 0, negative 8. We want to find the x-intercept first. So to find the x-intercept, we need to plug a 0 in for y. 6 times 0 is 0. And negative 3x plus 0 is just negative 3x. Divide the 12 by negative 3 and come up with an x value of negative 4. So that means our x-intercept is negative 4, 0. So now to find the y-intercept, we plug a 0 in for x. And a negative 3 times 0 is just 0. 0 plus 6y is 6y. So divide the 12 by 6 and come up with a y value of 2. That means your y-intercept is 0, 2. So the 2 points that we have are negative 4, 0, and then 0, 2. We'll find the slope given those 2 points, x1, y1, x2, y2. And the formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that'll give us 2 minus 0 over 0 minus a negative 4. 2 minus 0 is 2, and 0 minus a negative 4 is 4. 2 over 4 can be reduced to 1/2. So there's your slope of 1/2. The x-intercept is negative 4, 0, and the y-intercept is 0, 2. The x-intercept. To get the x-intercept, we're going to have to plug a 0 into y. So 9 times 0 is 0. 4x minus 0 is just 4x. Divide the 36 by 4 and come up with a 9. So that means our x-intercept is 9, 0. And for the y-intercept, we're going to put a 0 in for x. 4 times 0 is 0. And 0 minus 9y is a negative 9y. Divide the 36 by negative 9 and come up with a negative 4. So the y-intercept is 0, negative 4. So now we have 2 points. we have a 9, 0, and then we have a 0, negative 4. We will find the slope from x1, y1, that should be a y, and then x2, y2. The formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that is negative 4 minus 0, and then 0 minus 9. So that'll give us a negative 4 over negative 9, which will reduce to a positive 4 over 9 for the slope.